How's it going, everybody? My name is Noah Holley, and welcome back to another episode of the Pride Report. Now, today's episode is going to be much different from anything else that I've ever recorded because I'm only going to be focusing on one particular story, which, of course, is the federal probe into corruption in college basketball. Now, we got a huge groundbreaking update this morning to this story as Yahoo Sports released a story detailing numerous instances of college players receiving handouts while they still had their amateur status. Now, there's a lot to this piece, which I have linked in the description below, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to start by providing a general outline of the report. Friday morning, bank records and expense reports obtained by the FBI during its investigation into corruption in college basketball were released to the public, revealing a vast amount of instances of violation of amateurism. The report exposed a plethora of big-name schools tied to the allegations that includes the likes of North Carolina, Duke, Michigan State, Kentucky, Texas, Alabama, and Wichita State, among many others. Even richer is the amount of specific players whose amateurism was reportedly corrupted. Highlights include former players Malcolm Brogdon, Dennis Smith, Isaiah Whitehead, and Markelle Fultz, and current players Miles Bridges, Colin Sexton, Kevin Knox, and Wendell Carter. The FBI investigation reveals former NBA agent Andy Miller, his associate Christian Dawkins, and Dawkins' former agency, ASM Sports, provided dozens of players and families of players with cash handouts. The payments ranged from under $100 to multiple figures, and the context of handouts ranged from meals arranged and paid for by Dawkins to handouts by ASM Sports before players turned pro. Several instances of family of players receiving money from ASM Sports were also revealed, namely the mother of former Kansas star Josh Jackson accepted $2,700. The mother of current Michigan State player Miles Bridges accepted several hundred, and the father of Louisville recruit and current South Carolina player Brian Bowen reportedly accepted benefits as well. In the Yahoo Sports report, which, as I mentioned, I linked below, ASM Sports balance sheets as well as expense reports of Christian Dawkins from February 2016 and March 2016 were revealed. The ASM Sports balance sheets simply listed the details of payment, while Dawkins' expense reports detailed payment as well as the context of payment. Let's take a look first at the ASM Sports sheet. Highlights include Dennis Smith receiving a loan of $43,000. As you can see, there were a few instances of players receiving five figures. On the Dawkins spreadsheet, we see details of dinners and lunches with amateur athletes or families of amateur athletes. One thing to note before we move on is while the handouts and benefits vary from small to exceptionally large amounts, it would be naive to expect the difference of context to reflect the severity of punishments, as violation of amateurism is seen as corruption regardless of how it occurs. So just keep that in mind. Now, the fallout of these investigations is only just beginning. Earlier today, NCAA President Mark Emmert issued a press release in regards to the report. Emmert's statement read, "These allegations, if true, point to systematic failures that must be fixed and fixed now if we want college sports in America. Simply put, people who engage in this kind of behavior have no place in college sports. They are an affront to all those who play by the rules." Following the Southern District of New York's indictments last year, the NCAA Board of Governors and I formed the Independent Commission on College Basketball, chaired by Condoleezza Rice, to provide recommendations on how to clean up the sport. With these latest allegations, it's clear this work is more important now than ever. The board and I are completely committed to making transformational changes to the game and ensuring all those involved in college basketball do so with integrity. We also will continue to cooperate with the efforts of federal prosecutors to identify and punish the unscrupulous parties looking to exploit the system through criminal acts. From that, I want to share my thoughts on Mark Emmert and the NCAA's role in all of this. Now, personally, I believe that these handouts are justified to a certain extent considering the billions of dollars in revenue the NCAA collects from these players' likeness. Yes, I believe players should absolutely be paid, considering their worth to their schools and the NCAA. Does it not make sense? For college sports to recover and thrive, I believe that at the very least, the NCAA must relax its grossly extreme standards for amateurism. They need to recognize that denying players representation is not the way to go and realize that instances of underground handouts will continue to pop up as long as the players are unpaid. I mean, we have a real issue here and one that puts college sports in serious danger. If Emmert and the rest of the NCAA doesn't acknowledge that its own system is a major part of the problem, corruption will continue to rock this sport until the end of time. If college sports is to be saved, we need change, not just punishments. And that's where I'm going to end this show. Sorry that there wasn't more to this episode of the Pride Report, but these allegations have cast such a dark shadow over the college basketball world that even I'm not in the mood to talk about games or scenarios or anything fun. But don't worry, a normal episode of the Pride Report will be out again on Tuesday. I hope to see you there. But as for today's show, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I'll see you guys.